Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to the Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for the leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Toastmaster Ravinder from India. Today, I am Sergeant at Arms of the meeting. Let me reiterate the club mission. We provide a sportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised, so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. Our TMOD, who will lead our meeting, is Toastmaster Ghada Almojarkish from Canada. She is a self-directed leader with a strong passion for personal and professional growth. She values self-awareness, empathy, and purposeful communication. These qualities guide her how to lead and connect with others. Her goal is to inspire others to lead from within with authenticity, compassion, and confidence. By profession, she is a family counselor, social service worker, and mental health supporter, especially for refugees and newcomers. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Ghada Almojarkish. The virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Ravinder. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our meeting today, I'd like to invite our President Holmes for a moment of remembrance to honor the memory of our dear Toastmaster family member who recently passed away. Holmes.
Thank you, TMOD, Ghada. Members and guests, thank you for being with us today. I'd like to take a short moment in remembrance of our dear member, Nicole Miller-Douglas, who passed away earlier this week. In Leadership Speak, Nicole was my senior, having joined almost a year before I did. Even so, I share the same impression as our previous president, that Nicole carried herself with sincerity, dedication, and an honest desire to grow. In many member-only training sessions, I witnessed how she showed up ready to learn, ready to listen, and ready to contribute. She was never trying to perform or fit in. She simply stood her commitment to improve herself and support others. In the days leading up to her passing, she had also prepared to be the Toastmaster of the day for the following week. In Leadership Speak, taking up the Toastmaster of the Day role, it's akin to a rite of passage. It is a significant responsibility that involves preparing the meeting, coordinating with more than 20 team members, crafting a team, and producing the team write-up. Nicole stepped forward to take that role willingly. The theme she agreed on with the subsequent educational speaker was also a difficult one: leading when life tests you. It was a theme that required courage, reflection, and strength. Even though I did not know Nicole from the beginning of her journey with Leadership Speak, I saw enough to understand why she was respected. She carried a quiet dignity, she worked with heart, and she held herself to a standard of sincerity that lifted the people around her. Nicole leaves behind an example of grace and dedication that will stay with this club. We hold her in the highest respect and deepest regard. At this moment, members and guests, I invite all to join us to take a moment of silence in honor of our dear member, Nicole Miller Douglas. Thank you for sharing this time and space with us. With that, I'd like to hand back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Ghada Almojarkish, to lead us in today's meeting. Over to you, Ghada.
Thank you, Holmes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, great leaders and honored guests. Our meeting today is extra special. You know why? Because of you, our distinguished guests. Your presence adds warmth, curiosity, and energy to our space. We hope you will feel inspired to explore what self-directed leaders looks like here at Toastmasters. We are so delighted to have you with us, and I kindly ask you to take a moment to fill out the guest book posted in the chat box by dear Jocelyn. Thank you. Lead with emotional intelligence because it's the foundation of real freedom. Have you ever felt like you are running your life, but deep inside, something holds you back? Like you are doing your best, managing life, work, responsibilities, but deep down you are truly unfree. Many of us are prisoners without even realizing it. Not prisoners of walls or rules, but prisoners to our emotions. Become servants to our swingy moods, trapped by anger, comparison, frustration, and constant need to be understood. We think we are leading our life, but actually it's our unmanaged emotions holding steering wheel. Stress controls us, triggers, guides us, and habits, old habits, repeat themselves. Emotional intelligence breaks this cycle. It liberates us. It gives us the power to choose understanding over judgment, calm over reactions, presence over pressure, and growth over repeated old patterns. This is emotional freedom, the ability to rise above the moment instead of being swallowed by it. As when a leader develops this inner freedom, it shows in their calmness, their empathy, and their ability to influence through connection, not through control. As we listen to our speakers today, I invite you all to reflect on one question. Where in my life can emotional intelligence set me free? Free from reactivity, free from assumptions, free from old emotional habits, free to become a leader you were meant to be. And with that, let us begin our meeting. Welcome to Lead with Emotional Intelligence. Thank you.
Dan?
As we continuing embracing our theme Lead with Emotional Intelligence, please join me in welcoming our toast presenter, Holmes, who will lead us into a moment of appreciating and positivity. Holmes, the toast. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam TMOD. Fellow leaders, today's world moves faster than ever. Technology changes so quickly that no industry is spared. New systems, new tools, new expectations reshape our work almost every other month. And in this fast-moving landscape, leadership must evolve. One of the biggest shifts is the growing need for empathy. Teams today face stress, tight timelines, and cultural diversity. Leaders, all of us here, we are expected not only to manage the task, but to understand people. Empathy is no longer optional. It is part of how trust is built. This leads us to emotional intelligence. For self-directed leaders, this is the foundation. The first part of this is self-awareness and self-regulation. Self-awareness means we notice our own emotions early. And self-regulation means we can choose our responses wisely instead of just reacting in the moment. Leaders who can stay steady, thoughtful under pressure, create safety for their teams, and that safety becomes the ground where trust grows. The second part of this foundation is how we relate to the others around us. This includes motivation, empathy, and relationship management. Leaders who understand what inspires people can guide them through challenges and uncertainty. Leaders who show empathy can read the room and support others when they struggle. And leaders who manage relationship well can bring different cultures, different personalities, even different viewpoints together, so that as one, there is a team to move forward toward strategic goals. In a world shaped by constant change, emotional intelligence is the anchor. It helps leaders stay calm, connect deeply, and lead teams to innovate and collaborate with courage. At this moment, members and guests, I invite you, turn on your cameras, turn on your microphones, join me for a toast. Raise your glasses and toast for emotional intelligence. Emotional
intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Thank you. And back to TMOD. Ghada.
Thank you for that uplifting toast, Holmes. And now I'd like to introduce our timer, John Ojifo, who will help us practice one of the greatest leadership skills, respecting time. John.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is John Ojefo, and I'm the timer for this meeting. I will time all speakers, and I will display my background of green, yellow, and red according to the times on the agenda. And I will post the times of the speakers after each section. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Welcome, warm welcome to our grammarian, Leah, who will help us also elevate the quality of our speaking. Leah, our grammarian.
Thank you so much for that, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Good day, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day, which you can clearly see is being displayed with the slide that I'm on. So our word of the day today is empathy. And basically what it means, the action of understanding, being aware, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another. How to use this in a sentence? He felt great empathy with the poor. I'll also share it in the chat in case you miss it. So it's encouraged for all the speakers who do come to the virtual stage to please use the word of the day somehow, somewhere in their sentences. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Leah. And we arrive now to the heart of the meeting, the prepared speeches. But let me first give a very special welcome to our guests. You are here today sharing our growth. And in this club, we support each other. We lead ourselves with emotional intelligence, with connections and openness. I remind you to fill out the guest book posted in the chat box. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce our educational speaker. Let me warmly welcome Oltesh Thobias, along with the evaluator, Tony. Welcome, Oltesh.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. In preparation for his educational speech, Oltesh contacted me. We discussed where he really wants to balance the power of emotion with logic that fits circumstances in life, the various circumstances in life, and having the ability to do so. So his presentation is based on the Persuasive Influence Project, number 5, and is to prepare to speak professionally. So I'll be evaluating his objectives to speak as a professional motivator, as well as his personal desire to have the ability as a leader to balance logic with emotion. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you, Tony. So as Oltesh says, emotional intelligence is common sense. We often know when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to act and when to refrain. Do we always do it? Not quite. It's not always common practice. So his message today is simply a reminder that we need to apply and build on emotional intelligence agility. Thank you. Oltesh.
Thank you, Ghada. Picture this. You're stuck in traffic and you need to rush to the office. You have an important meeting, but that traffic is just not moving. Or you're on your way, the road is open, but then someone cuts you off. And in order to protect your life and the lives of those in your vehicle, you decide to veer to the left and you end up in a ditch. Or you board an airplane, you're seated, your seatbelt is fastened, and you relax, ready to take off. And someone walks in and says, sorry, this is my seat. And you're 100% sure that this is your seat. How would you respond? Or how would you react, for that matter? The scenarios that I've painted are common in our day-to-day life. And I have witnessed outcome of these scenarios in both ways. In a constructive way, but also in a negative way. I've seen a simple traffic engagement, which ends up with sorry, it's okay, and then every driver drives off. But I've also seen a traffic obstruction ending up with a fist fight, rage, and at times a gunshot. Or you receive an email, someone accusing you of something that you did not do, copying everyone in the organization, including your boss, and you're 100% sure that that was not me. How do you feel? How would you respond? Would you get back to this person? Bold, red lines all across? Or would you say, thank you for the feedback? I'll work on it. We react differently in different situations, different circumstances. And the conversation of emotional intelligence came at the right time. When we see what is going on around the world, leaders not living to the promises of the people they serve. Parents not meeting the needs of their children, but also organizations failing to stick to the vision and the mission that they had. It all hinges on emotional intelligence. I'm happy that Ghada, Holmes painted a very good background on emotional intelligence. And therefore, my job is to put it in a practical way, but also in a reflective way. I would therefore like to encourage each and every one of us present today, including our valued guests, to just go back and think, how did you behave? How did you respond? How did you react to a certain situation, either positively or negatively? And as you think back to that moment, look at your family, your immediate members, look at your place of work or business, or maybe your community, both the positive and the negative. How did you react? Reading through a lot of literature, I came across quite an interesting definition of emotional intelligence. And this is from Daniel Goleman. And he said, emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and to recognize one's emotion or emotions of others, meaning those around you, but also use that awareness to address a situation so that we can build a relationship, so that we can correct that behavior. And I found this definition quite interesting because when we experience a situation, we need, of course, to attain a certain outcome, meaning we need to correct a behavior. But we also need to ensure that after correcting that behavior, that relationship continues. I've seen many times we correct a behavior, but the relationship ends. Or at times, we ignore the behavior so that we can continue the relationship. Now, emotional intelligence is to be able to balance the two in order to continue in a harmonious life. But the most interesting that I've noted is emotional intelligence is a very tricky kind of environment or action for that matter, or behavior. Why? Because it depends on the environment, it depends on the context, but it also depends if it's happening within your comfort zone or outside your comfort zone. And as I look back, I'm reminded of a conversation that I had with a friend, a work colleague, and he said, Oltesh, I heard this about you. Someone told me that you said, I'm going to fire you. And I said, but you know that that's not part of my DNA. You know that I don't even have a terminology, I'm going to fire you, in my vocabulary. Because my colleague understands the environment that conversation could have happened, he said, Oltesh, I've worked with you for more than 15 years, and I understand that you will not utter such words. But he reminded me on one thing, that if you were angry at that time, there is a possibility that these words came out of your mouth. Much as I don't recall a colleague who was involved in that conversation was 100% sure that I say that. So it turns out that we can exercise our emotional intelligence in a normal environment, when the waters are cool, when the sun is shining, or when everyone is happy. But when there is tension, probably we might get a little bit out of our values. So I have a question for you, Hannah, Tony, Ghada, Sandra. How do you behave when you're outside of your normal magnitude of operation? Because that is where our emotional intelligence is measured. Now, as we continue reflecting, I'm reminded of some of the disadvantages that might ensue if we don't exercise emotional intelligence. At work, we will see that there's a reduced engagement among employees. At home, you will realize that there's a distance between family members. I'm reminded of a young man whose parents were very rich, but he said something that was quite touching. He said, the only relationship between myself and my father is financial. He pays my school fees, he dresses me, he makes sure that I eat, but there's no any other relationship. Disengaged. Now, if we lack or if we don't exercise emotional intelligence, in all our spheres of life, there is a chance that our engagement is reduced. The second one is if there's lack of emotional intelligence, there's also a chance that we will observe frequent staff turnover at our place of work. But in a one-on-one or in a personal relationship, we will observe that we will be losing our friends, or they will just be keeping a distance because they don't feel safe emotionally to be around you. But also, if we don't exercise emotional intelligence, we tend to see a lot of conflict between us, between teams, and between those that we interact with in day-to-day basis. There are also a lot of benefits that we can accrue if we exercise emotional intelligence. And I have noted that if I'm in a good space, there's always that cohesion with those that I interact with. I feel safe to sit with them. I feel safe to interact with them. I also feel safe just to be around them. To the extent that if there's a problem, I will kill for them. I will die for them. It is also important that when there is emotional intelligence among team, the level of conflict is reduced or minimized for that matter. I'm also reminded that when those that lead, those that we depend on, exercise emotional intelligence, every member of the team would like to make sure that they contribute, they participate, they add value. So we have now seen what are the disadvantages of failure to exercise emotional intelligence, but what are the benefits? So the next item is, how do we do it? How do we make it happen? So I want to go back to some of the tips that President Holmes shared. He talks about awareness. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into that conversation. So awareness is one of the most important aspects when it comes to emotional intelligence. Now, awareness is divided into two parts. Awareness of self, but also awareness of others. So in terms of awareness of self, we need to know what are the triggers, what disappoints us, what angers us, but what also makes us happy. And when we are aware of those, we will now be able to address any situation that happens in our day-to-day life. Awareness can also go beyond the triggers. It is also us being able to do that self-assessment. And I believe that Toastmasters is one of the best avenues where we are made aware of who we are. The evaluations will tell us, how are we engaging? How are we expressing our emotions? How are we impacting those that we are speaking to? And there are several projects. We also have a project in Toastmasters, which is purposefully designed to assess your communication skills or your leadership skills. Now, beyond that self-awareness, we also need to be aware of what is happening in the community around us. How do people in the society communicate, engages, interact? When I went to London for the first time, that was in 1998, I noted one thing that is probably not necessarily common in some countries. In the UK, they queue in every space. If you're in the ATM, you have to queue even if you're alone. Or when you're about to pick an elevator, you stand on the right so that you can allow those that want to walk fast, to just go down or up the escalators. So you need to be aware of these community dynamics. You also need to be aware of the team, because if we are not aware of the team around us, then we will experience conflict and misunderstanding. The second aspect that we need to look at in order to exercise emotional intelligence is to ensure that we have what we call emotional reserve. So how does this work? Emotional reserve is the ability to stay in a calm, composed, and collected way, even when we experience anger, or when someone disappoints us, or when someone misbehaves, we are able to stay within that area. But in order to attain that emotional reserve, there are a few things that we need to do. I believe that what we are doing in this meeting is we are filling our emotional reserve. To the extent that if you're called for a high-stake meeting, you are ready. You can manage your nerves, you can prepare, but you can also communicate your ideas effectively. The other way of ensuring that you have sufficient emotional reserve is to journal, looking at what happened, learning from that so that your future becomes a little bit promising. Another way of doing it is to just ensure that when you start your day, you look at your day, you visualize your day, that this is how my day is going to look like. And most importantly, is to decide, what am I going to do if that driver cuts me off? What am I going to do in this difficult conversation that I'm going to conduct today? So if you prepare and you see that future, then it helps you to fill up your emotional tank and be able to absorb any pressure. And the last one, which is really important, is to have boundaries, or philosophy for that matter. What do I mean? We need to decide in advance, what do I do if this situation was to happen? If someone spoke negatively about me, do I behave the way they behaved? Or should I be the wise one, take the high road and address the situation? What are my values? We face and experience temptations every day. Some of us fall into these temptations, and some of us, because we have clear values, we sail through these temptations safely. I believe that all of us have the ability to grow and to become emotionally intelligent. And as we were practicing this session today, I'm reminded of something that Ghada said. She said emotional intelligence is not about knowing how to do it. Emotional intelligence is not about acting. She said emotional intelligence is about becoming. It's about being. And this is where I would like all of us to be. It's not about it's not about acting, it's about becoming. To the extent that should any situation happens, you are emotionally strong. And as I finish, I would like you to think about this. How would you behave when you're happy? You're really, really happy. Would you jump, hit the roof? Would you sleep? Would you turn that music loud and your neighbors won't sleep? How would you behave? What would you do when you're so peaceful? Would you sleep the entire day? Would you invite others into that party of being peaceful? What about when you experience fear? Or what should you do when you're surprised? Or when you're sad? Or when you're angry? So I would like to leave you with this. Let us be intentional. When we are happy, we can be happy without affecting others. When we are in a peaceful environment, we can also do it in a way that no one will be at a disadvantage. When fear strikes, we just need to remember that that is a stepping stone to greatness. We therefore need to stay and focus. When we are surprised or when we are sad or when we are angry, we equally need to stay within that spectrum. So by the words of Ghada, I want all of us to seriously consider the being of emotional intelligence. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Being, not doing. That's all about emotional intelligence. Thank you. Thank you for your great, strong presentation. And I encourage all speakers to use empathy, as it is one of the aspects of emotional intelligence. Thank you. Welcome our guests. We are genuinely happy you are here with us today. Please take a moment to fill our guest book posted in the chat box and make sure to stay until the end of the meeting, as our club president would love to personally connect with you. Thank you. Now, join me in welcoming our first speaker, Nocawe, Nkosi, and the evaluator, Shanisha, Nocawe, and Shanisha. Hello.
Thank you, Ghada. Good morning to all Toastmasters and guests. It is truly my pleasure to be evaluating Nocawe today. The purpose of her speech is for her to practice developing a communication plan. I will be listening for a well-organized speech about the members' experience with some aspect of plan development. She may choose to share any part of the process, including the results of implementing that plan. We had the opportunity to have a quick chat, and she also asked me to observe the structure, clarity, and confidence of her presentation. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Ghada.
Thank you, Shanisha. Yes, Nocawe is passionate about leading with empathy because it matters to her how she makes others feel. And she said, don't lead people without them. Involve them and give them the opportunity to lead. Come with me, Nocawe. Nocawe, come with me.
Please come. Please come. Fellow leaders and our guests, which one of those two statements can you easily follow? Please indicate for me in the chat. If it is the first one, write number 1. If it is the second one, write just number 2. Thank you so much. I see a lot of number 2. This teaches us that the way we communicate and the tone of our voice matters the most as the message that we want to relay to others. Fellow leaders and to our guests, I had an opportunity to develop a communication plan for my division. The purpose of the plan was to ensure that we achieve the key performance indicators set by the department for us as compliance and enforcement. I decided as a leader to divide the communication plan into 3 parts. The first part deals with our daily operation. I call it a daily open door principle, whereby each and every team member is encouraged to go to other team members at any time of the day, just to get clarity on other issues, to get assistance, or sometimes to cough something that might be between them and the goals that we need to achieve. Secondly, I have a weekly check-in principle. Those are the meetings that we have or that we hold on Mondays. During those meetings, we reflect on what could have happened the previous week. Lesson learned, challenges encountered, as well as way forward for us to move on together as a team. The last one is our monthly meetings prior the departmental meeting, where we track progress and we align that progress with our performance, with our POEs, which is the portfolio of evidence. That assists us to track progress continuously without waiting for the quarterly performance reviews or mid-year performance reviews. What I have learned during this process is that as a leader, you need to go along with your team together at the same time. Otherwise, you will find yourself working alone and everybody will be left behind. Maya Angelou once said, I have learned that people will forget what you did. They will forget what you've said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So during this communication plan development, I learned that the team members, which are the greatest asset for my employer, they matter the most. Through the journey, I decided just to take 3 things that I always remind myself of. These things help me to implement the plan and to walk through the plan with ease. The first one is that it is important to communicate with clarity and confidence, because now you have developed a communication plan. If you communicate it with clarity, you make your team members to believe in yourself, that you know exactly what you want them to do and what you aspire to achieve together with them. Secondly, I learned that it is very important to communicate your plan with empathy. Be observant, listen. If there's anything that doesn't go well or challenges, be quick to address them. By so doing, you easily gain trust from your team members, because without them, you are alone. Thirdly, I learned that it is important to sell the plan to the members so that they own it and allow the plan to continuously give all members an equal opportunity for feedback, to give and to take feedback. Fellow leaders, the way we communicate with ourselves and with others, it determines the success of what we aspire to achieve. When we communicate our goals, our vision, let us be empathetic. Let us put ourselves in others' shoes. Should this be said to me in this way, how will I feel? If you'll feel good, definitely do it to others. But if not, I dare you, don't do it. With those words, allow me to say that when we develop our communication plan, let us pause. Let us come, go with all the members. Come and go with me in an empathetic way. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for this meaningful speech. Thank you. Now, welcome to our second speaker, Joyce Kibe. I'll invite the evaluator also, Angela Brown. Hello, Joyce.
Hi, Ghada, how are you?
Hello.
I'd like to tell the purpose of Joyce's speech. The purpose of this project is to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during a club meeting. The purpose of the speech is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you. So live after the laptop, Joyce Kibe, live after the laptop.
Today, I feel like I am giving an icebreaker. This is because this is my first speech at Leadership Speak. Most of you may be wondering why live after the laptop. This means what I do after my 8 to 5 job. Without blowing my trumpet, I normally have colleagues ask me, Joyce, how many hours do you have in a day? Joyce, what time do you get home? And I sit back, and today I will give you a snippet of what I do after my 8 to 5 job. First and foremost, I am a Toastmaster. I have been a Toastmaster since 2021, and to date, I have grown from being a treasurer and being the club president. Additionally, I am the program quality director in my area in District 114. Our club meets twice a month, second Thursday and fourth Thursday, an evening meeting. Not forgetting, I'm also a Toastmaster at Leadership Speak that meets every single Saturday, which I am proud of. Secondly, I love sports. I play basically all ball games. But for today, I will be speaking about 4. I play basketball, table tennis, volleyball, and netball. Mostly, I play basketball and table tennis throughout the year. This is because we have tournaments that happen every single month. For volleyball and netball, we happen to have them towards the end of the year, September and October, when we are having interbanks. Thirdly, I serve in my local church. I am the personal assistant for Our Lady Pastor, not forgetting that I also lead our hospitality team comprising of 15 ladies. I am very careful to lead with empathy because we come from different backgrounds. I am not sure what they go through throughout the week and I only meet them at the end of the week. Additionally, I have another meeting that I attend to on Tuesdays, which I am in the protocol team. Most of you have seen me how I dress on Tuesdays with a tie, with a suit. Now you know why I come like that sometimes in the Tuesdays meeting. Fourthly, I love organizing events. I am an event planner, and also I speak on social matters and also financial management. When called upon, I will plan for bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, name them. You just need to give me the number, the place, and how you want the event to be. On matters of social capital, I also speak to have people manage their finances very well and know who to get involved with. All this, I do them willingly and with an open heart. I am a mother and a wife, and I am very, very careful to ensure that I don't drop the ball. Thank God for my first pathway when I learned about project management and leadership, and also how to manage my own time. On Mondays, I take some rest. On Tuesdays, I go to that Tuesday worship. On Wednesday, I practice for my basketball, and Friday, I go for my table tennis. With all this, I have had to have an understanding with my family and not forgetting my supportive spouse, who has not stood in my way in undertaking all these activities. And as a takeaway for each and every one of you, I'm challenging you. Take up something that you love. Let your life not just revolve around your work that is behind the laptop. What are you doing after the laptop? I am sure there is something that you love to do. Personally, I have decided to do the extracurricular activities, or rather to things that I love to do. That is being a Toastmaster, sports, serving in church, and organizing events. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you. I might take your phone number. Who knows? Okay. Thank you. So now to our third speaker for this meeting, Atul Sankar, and our evaluator, Ghada. Please, I'm inviting Ghada with our third speaker today. Hello, Atul.
Hello, Toastmaster Pate, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, hi. Hi, Ghada. Thank you.
Toastmaster of the Day. The purpose of Atul's speech today is for Atul to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor in his speech. Time is 5 to 7 minutes. Best of luck. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you. So, humor, happiness, stories of my life. Atul Sankar. Atul Sankar, humor, happiness, stories of my life. Mike is yours.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, some people say humor is a talent. I disagree. The life itself is a humor. I don't go looking for it. It finds me the way mosquitoes find me in Tanzania, naturally and in bulk. So I will be sharing some stories of my life, and that is a humor that happens. Please control your humor. When I attended my first Toastmasters meeting, I expected some serious, polished Shakespeare level speeches. Instead, they asked me to introduce myself. I got so nervous, I introduced myself twice. Good evening, everyone. I'm Atul. And good evening, everyone. I'm also Atul. That's when I realized Toastmasters isn't about communication, it's about affordable comedy. I will say another story, the gym adventure. At the gym, the trainer asked me, "Sir, what's your goal?" And this is really serious. And I probably said, "Six pack." He looked at me, sighed, and said, "Let's start with walking." After 5 minutes on the treadmill, I realized that walking was considering its relationship with me. And true, till now, I think walking is in relationship with me. And I never again thought of six pack after that. But how many of you would face the same situation? And coming to my own home story, the classic mom question. And I'm from an Indian family, and how Indian moms are so concerned about my marriage. There was an interrogation between me and my mother. My mom asked me, "When are you getting married? You're getting old." To escape the question, I told, "Mom, Taylor Swift tried to marry me. I refused." My mom started looking at me like I needed a software update. One day she said, "May at least Taylor Swift's sister marry you." I was feeling butterflies in my stomach and in myself. I think this was really a classic Indian mom question. And there's so many stories, life just happens, but there's so many humorous things that happen so fun. And that is what I enjoy. And it's what we see. It's what we see. It's what we observe. What we observe, it's what we interpret. And I think humor is not something fake. It's natural in life. And there's so many comic stories that go on and on. I'll just give you an example of my healthy lifestyle attempt. I bought spinach, oats, and almond, all the right things. 2 days later, they were still untouched. Meanwhile, the biscuits, chips, and chocolates magically disappeared. Those things don't need motivation. They walk into your mouth, they run into your mouth, and they jog into your mouth. And just imagine all that spinach, oats, and almonds were left, got rotten. And coming to the Tanzanian traffic story, once I was stuck in a traffic that a peanut seller came to my window and asked, "Brother, if you're staying for 10 more minutes, I will give you a loyalty discount." Even street vendors know my traffic routine. So could you just imagine what is the level of traffic in Dar es Salaam, in the city where I come from, in Tanzania? The roads are chaotic always. The miscommunication story. I once tried I once tried flirting over a text. I wanted to write, "You have a beautiful smile," but that autocorrector changed to, "You have a beautiful smell," and she blocked me faster than my gym trainer gave up on me. I think humor is something that really connects people. Humor is something which is connecting with people and people together. Because without humor and a touch of humor, a touch of reality is what it connects humans together. I always add a flavor of humor in my speeches, and that makes the speech beautiful. Let's make the speech engaging with the audience. How many of you observe that? And coming to my mom's story, my mom asked me, "Are you waiting for an angel to marry you?" I said, "No, mom, I'm waiting for a billionaire." And she replied, "Because only a billionaire can afford your jokes." And I said, "Thank you for being so humble." Coming to Toastmasters, let me roast the Toastmasters. Toastmasters taught me that every role comes with a title, like Toastmasters, Vice President Public Relations, Vice President Education, DTM is just joining like Avengers. Now I'm division director. My family thinks I run East Africa. If only they knew that. I don't even get a copy for free. Every year in the new year, we promise ourselves this year I will get fit. And only my belly is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm never getting fitter. And then the day and the goals are being forwarded for the next year. So here's what I learned. Humor isn't about cracking jokes, it's about noticing life. Life is already funny. If you don't believe me, look at your old passport photo. Humor helps us connect, survive awkward moments, and turn stress into stories. So collect your humorous stories. They become part of your speeches and your life. And when in doubt, blame Taylor Swift. Thank you. Has to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you. You actually cover the meeting with, joyful and happiness flavors. Thank you, Atul, for that. Now, with all of that happiness, we are continuing with our speakers now to our fourth speaker for today is A.G. McDowell, and the evaluator is Eris Casinella. Hello, A.G.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So, Toastmasters and distinguished guests, thank you. Okay, if I may go ahead, our next speaker is E.J. McDowell, presenting her project for introduction to vocal variety and body language with her speech entitled The Secret to Transformation. As her evaluator, I'll be paying close attention to how she uses both her voice and her body to enhance her message, specifically her pacing, her tone, her pitch, and volume, as well as her gestures, movement, and overall stage presence. This project is all about using vocal variety and body language intentionally to strengthen impact. Please help me welcome the always engaging, inspiring E.J. McDowell with the secret to transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Iris. So as for EJ, emotional intelligence is the glue that binds us together when we use it wisely and intentionally. But it can also act like a magnet that repels if we don't use it wisely. The secret to transformation, A.G. McDowell, A.G. The secret to transformation.
I've had the privilege, the fulfillment, and honestly, the enduring love affair for 30 plus years as an entrepreneur and serving in creative hair salons across the United States. I've served over 200,000 women, men, and children, always facing the mirror, standing behind a chair, a styling hair salon, in a hair salon, with the scissors in my right hand and the comb in my left hand. I've been listening, creating, laughing, crying, coaching, advising, and yes, encouraging, and helping my clients feel great and look amazing. Imagine this. I've heard passionate love stories. I've comforted intense heartbreak, which required immense empathy. I've listened to dreams of building families I've listened to survival of midlife crises. Oh, and yes, hair drama, sports, career aspirations, and more what should I do with my life questions than a therapist. In a way, I've been giving speeches for years, just one client at a time behind the chair. This led me to a key question. What if I took everything I've learned in the salon, the people skills, the intuition, the transformations, the service excellence, and shared these stories on a world-class stage in front of a world-class audience? What if, as the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I took that single step and rejoined Toastmasters a few months ago. Today, I'm a proud member of Leadership Speak, and I'm so happy to be here today. And this is one of the top 5 clubs globally. And I'm not just here to speak, but to step into the person I want to become. Let me tell you how I got very serious about this idea. Now, this might surprise you. A few days after rejoining Toastmasters, and also after a long day at the salon, my last client looked at me and said, honey, you should be on stage. You should be on stage. You always say exactly what I need to hear when I need to hear it. I said, who, me? I kind of laughed it off. But she said, you're like a beauty guru and a life coach rolled into one. I was amazed, but I said, you know, I create masterpieces behind the chair. But that night I went home, tired, looked into the bathroom mirror, and I asked myself out loud, what is your next step? What will you do next? And that still small voice on the inside said, it's time to speak. It's time to speak, not off the cuff and not from behind the chair, but it's time to speak skillfully to millions with inspirational impact. That's when I made the commitment. I said, I'm going to concentrate and I'm going to complete my presentation mastery. And believe me, this is the beginning. This is the first step. And not just to check a box. No, not just to check a box, but to take each step forward to finally meeting my transformational self. You see, it's important. The power of concentration. So let me be honest with you. Concentration is a challenge for me, especially today in our busy world, and certainly in the world of beauty. Picture this. A client is in my chair. My phone is buzzing. My morning coffee is cold, very cold. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I haven't eaten lunch yet. How many of you would be hangry? That is, hungry and angry. Seriously, but here it is. The lesson I had to learn after decades of holding space for others and serving thousands and thousands of clients, I finally realized that the secret to my transformation is concentration. Let me share that one more time. The secret to transformation is concentration. For instance, when I create a masterpiece behind the chair, I'm not thinking about anything else but one person, one head, and one result. I am bringing that mindset right here, right now. I'm bringing it into my speaking journey to be focused and to concentrate on one speech at a time. Just one step at a time. And one goal at a time. Concentration isn't just about cutting distractions. It's about tuning in to what matters the most. I know what it's like to work behind the scenes. I've done it for over 30 years. But it's time to speak. Time to step out into the dawn of each new day. Not to perform, but to come alive, to share, to serve, and to grow. Now, here's my challenge to you. What dreams lie hidden within you, longing to be set free? What talent have you been ignoring? Questioning yourself. Who? Me? It's time to move from behind the chair, behind the desk, the laptop, behind the doubt, behind the fear, behind the tears, and yes, from behind the failures. Will you take your next step? Because whether you're cutting hair, building a business, growing a career, finishing your pathway, or delivering a winning international speech, we only have one life to live. And the power to transform our lives is within us. So, let your light shine and illuminate the world. And together, let's focus our mental, our physical, our spiritual energy towards fulfilling our dreams. And know this truth, that the secret of our transformation, it lies supreme in the power of our concentration. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for this meaningful speech. Thank you, EJ.
You're welcome.
Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our fifth speaker for today, Amber Katrina. Hello, Amber. And I'll also invite the evaluator, Nelly Jane, to the spot. Thank you.
Nelly Jane, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and to our guests, especially to you, Amber. Amber's speech for today is under the path of innovative planning. She will be presenting her Level 2 Project 1 speech, understanding her communication style. The purpose of this project is for Amber to identify her primary leadership style or styles, and for her to share some aspect of her primary leadership style and discuss leadership styles in general. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Yes, Amber, hello. Amber is a life coach for targets of workplace bullying. Share a couple of very practical steps for you to become more effective. Today, as we covered the 5 core dimensions of emotional intelligence and certainty, many of you, as Amber says, many of you have already been successfully applying these principles in your day-to-day lives, but maybe for some of you, it just doesn't seem to be working, no matter how you hard try. If that is you, don't lose hope just yet. So our 5th speaker for today, Amber, welcome. The mic is with you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Ghada. It's a pleasure to be here with you. This morning, I was having a conversation with a person I have been coaching for some years now, and she is stuck exactly there. She's so frustrated because she has been applying these 5 dimensions of emotional intelligence for years now, but there is that one coworker with which it's always strife. And she's just at a loss. What do I do? I've tried everything, but no matter how much I reach out, wear my heart on my sleeve, try to connect, collaborate, overcome differences, it's just not working. Is that happening for some of you as well? Oh yes, and this person is a leader inside of the company. Get this, the other person that she's having these clashes with is a strong advocate for emotional intelligence too. They're very loud advocate, always preaching about emotional intelligence, and yet it just doesn't work. Now how on earth is that possible? Did Goleman lie to us? Is it not true that they work? Oh, absolutely not. You see, the principles that are laid out in that book are focusing on relationships between healthy people, relationships between people who actually genuinely want to reach an agreement. At the same time, he doesn't dive into it, but he does warn these principles, these techniques, these strategies can be very easily weaponized by people with chameleon ethics who do everything right, say everything right, and on the surface they look like fabulous, radiant examples, great leaders, so intelligent, so loving, so caring for everyone, but who in fact are manipulating the environment for their own outcome. And even the people inside the company, inside the organization, whatever it is, who know about this are held hostage, so to speak, because there just seems to be no way to protect themselves from these sneaky people. So what should we do? Should we just toss out emotional intelligence? Not do it because it's not going to work anyways with these people? Oh no, you absolutely need to keep building your self-awareness. Keep building that skill set. Keep having those honest, open conversations, looking for solutions with other people. At the same time, you want to do something very counterintuitive. You want to become an ethical chameleon. And I'm already hearing you, no, me, a chameleon, hell no, never, no. I am a person of integrity, right? That's the first feeling. It's like, even if you go do a Google search all over the place, ethical chameleons, they're the kind of people who will toss out any ethics, morals, and dogmas just to achieve their goal. Yeah, that's the person I just described, the one with chameleon ethics, the one with no ethics, actually. They are people who shapeshift into an entirely different animal. A chameleon instead, poor thing, he's already an ugly lizard, warts and all. Nobody wants to hang out with him, very few, other lizards maybe, right? And he also has to be accused of lacking in integrity. He only has one thing going for him, that when he's in danger, he can change the color of his skin to blend into the background and become invisible and keep safe. Now, if you choose consciously to become an ethical chameleon, the reason you can say you are being ethical is that you are doing it for the right reasons. You are doing it to keep everyone else in the equation safe with you, not just yourself. You are leading with emotional intelligence. You have self-awareness, but you also have situational awareness. And you notice those small things, and you know how to keep yourself in check so that you don't expose that narcissistic, manipulative person. And you say, wait a minute, why should I not expose them? Shouldn't we get rid of the toxic people? You can't. You just cannot. You see, toxic people, one thing I've been saying for 7 years now is that all narcissists are bullies. All toxic people are bullies. But not all bullies are toxic. And it takes time. It takes empathy to recognize the difference. Sometimes the person you are the most scared of is the most honest, down-to-earth, warm-hearted person. They're just stuck in survival mode. And perhaps it's just by your empathy, your patience, you're not showing them up, you choosing to allow them to save face, that you can help them feel safe enough to heal on the inside and slowly develop their own 5 dimensions of emotional intelligence. So use that empathy strategically. Know when to blend into the background and know when to stand out. Know when to lift someone up, know when to avoid calling them out. And choose on the daily to be loving, kind, generous, always presume the best while at the same time knowing in your mind, wait a minute, this could actually be the worst. Just by being like that, you are leading not only yourself, but everyone else around you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Amber. Actually, yes, emotional intelligence is not a decision, it's a journey. And empathy is not like standing in someone else's shoes, but confidently keep standing in our shoes. Thank you so much, Amber. And at the end of, this speaking or speeches time now, kindly I'll ask John to post the timer's report in the chat box. Thank you. Meanwhile, I'll invite the Zoom master to launch the poll of the speakers, please. Hannah, yes. Before welcoming our amazing general evaluator today, dear guests, Thank you for joining us. We are honored to have you here. You are not just visitors. No, you are potential leaders in a supportive community that believes in self-awareness, empathy, and emotional intelligent leadership. Thank you again. Now, let us welcome our General Evaluator, Ghada Flex, who will guide the evaluation team and offer insights our overall meeting. Ghada Felix has been a Toastmaster since June 2014. She has held many roles in and outside the club. She served as District 86 Pathway Chair for 2023-2025 and presently served on the IDEA Committee of District 86. Let us welcome Ghada. Welcome. Hello, Ghada.
Hello, and thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcomed guests. As the General Evaluator, I will oversee the evaluation segment of our meeting, where our keen sense of observation and listening skills will be demonstrated. This segment is in 3 parts. First, I will call on a team of seasoned evaluators to evaluate our speakers. Second, I will call on the role players for their reports. And lastly, I will share my overall assessment of the meeting. Are we all ready to listen, to participate in this segment? Today, I will start by calling on Veronica Suzy. She is evaluating the toast delivered by Holmes Tang. For Veronica, leading with emotional intelligence is important because emotional intelligence brings team together. Please help me welcome Veronica Suzy.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Emotional intelligence. What a critical theme for today. And earlier on, when I connected with Holmes, he requested me to check on his connection, especially the emotional connection with the audience. And I would believe he managed to do just that. Holmes, your entrance was very capturing. And you had beautiful eye contact. You had the energy, which I believed for me is part of the emotions of connecting with your audience, especially considering the important topic of emotional intelligence. And one quote that I liked was, empathy is no longer an option. It is part of how trust is built in a team. Again, that was like a call to action for your audience to utilize emotional intelligence in our day-to-day leading. What I would request you to do in future is maybe to utilize vocal variety more and lower your voice where necessary. Because I thought there was a bit of monotone where your voice was like the same, where you were very excited, but there were instances which I felt a lower tone would have helped to improve your speech. Otherwise, well done. Very beautiful speech. And finally, I like the way you paused when you called on all of us to connect with you. It allowed us to collect ourselves and to pick our glasses as we also participated in the toast. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Veronica Susie. What I noticed in your evaluation, you gave glows and grows. You shared with us what worked and what didn't. What I also would like to see, as you mentioned, there were instances where Holmes should lower his voice. What were those instances? What I would like you to do next time is to be more specific when you are giving examples so that Holmes know right away how, not only why, but also how he needs to change what the recommendations that you are giving to him. I also liked that you finish on a positive note. Thank you. Now, it is time for Lydia Wanjiku, who is evaluating the role played by our Toastmaster of the day, Ghada Almojarkish. For Lydia, emotional intelligence means being aware of her own feelings, managing them wisely, and empathetically tuning into others' emotions to build better relationships and make smarter decisions. Please help me welcome Lydia Wanjiku.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our General Evaluator. Ghada, you took the stage. You are able to own that stage. You're very composed. And the areas you excelled in were the clarity. You are very clear with today's theme, lead with emotional intelligence. My key takeaway was you prepared well because you demonstrated a good understanding of the emotional intelligence. I liked the way you are able to connect with the theme. The poses that you had were very good poses. Your Zoom presence was good, and your hand gestures were connecting with the audience. You may wish to challenge yourself to practice on the vocal variety, because what happened, you are very calm, you had those poses, but you had the monotone. There were some areas whereby when you're introducing the speakers, you are getting excited, you are smiling, but the tone was the same. So if you may wish to practice on the vocal variety, you will take your presentation to the next level. Overall, you did well. Well done, Ghada. You demonstrated good understanding of today's theme, that is leading with emotional intelligence. Your poses, your gestures were very good. When you work on the vocal variety, then you will take your presentation to the next level. Overall, well done, and back to you, our General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Lydia. I noticed that you started right away sharing what worked. Then you move into what could make it better. I will say this again. Be more succinct, not succinct, that's not the word that I want to say. Tell us exactly when that the voice needed to change. We need examples because it makes it easier on the speaker to take on those recommendations. I loved that you finish by giving a summary of your evaluation. This is very important because if you were to participate in a contest, I think that alone is 15 points so that everybody knows. Thank you. And now it is time to call on Tony. Tony Bratchett is evaluating the leadership education speaker, Oltesh Thobias. For Tony, emotional intelligence is important because he is still learning about himself. Please help me welcome Tony Bratchett.
General Evaluator, fellow members, and most welcome guests. As a reminder, Oltesh's presentation is on preparing to speak professionally, and you and I were the audience. Oltesh, your keynote presentation demonstrated a professional speaker's message and was supported by good delivery techniques that enhanced your content. You asked me also to pay attention on how you would balance emotion with logic. Well, you opened with emotionally charged scenarios. Being cut off in traffic. Oh, I can understand that. And the airplane seat dispute. Now that made it relevant to us, the audience. It was a good connection. And for me, it was the traffic incidents. Then you transitioned smoothly into your central message, which was that emotional intelligence determines how we shape outcomes in our relationships, workplaces, and communities. Second, your structure mirrored a professional keynote format. You moved from the relatable emotional hooks. You had a clear definition by Daniel Goleman, and your personal stories illustrated unexpected emotional triggers, like the email at work. Ooh, you know. Your delivery techniques included the use of questions which engaged us, such as, how do you behave during a heated debate? And of course, that brought us into your narrative. Now, balancing emotion with logic. On the emotional side, you share those personal experiences, including being told you can't think straight when you're angry, which showed empathy. And on the logical side, you integrated a list of professional consequences, such as reduced engagement, turnover in the workplace, and the toxic culture. That combination gave your message both heart and credibility. Now, personally, my takeaway that will last beyond today is, what is my emotional reserve? What's left in my tank to be effective, especially when I need it? Thank you for that. Now, recommendations for greater impact. To elevate your already strong keynote, I suggest more intentional pauses during those reflective moments, which will allow us to absorb your message. Such as, when you talked about the gunshot during the traffic incident. Whoa, that's what hit me in the head. Gunshot. Whoa. And in your closing, you summarize nicely with the profound advice you gave us. But I suggest you add a single memorable call to action, such as, choose one emotional trigger you will start mastering today. Well, that's our call to action to each one of us, because a keynote finish like that benefits with that final directive suggestion. In closing, you met and exceeded the objectives of this Level 5 project. Your speech was professional, engaging, and meaningful. In other words, Oltesh, your polished presentation was a mirror for our reflection on being emotional intelligence. Well done, and thank you, Oltesh. Back to you, GE.
Thank you, Tony. With Tony's evaluation, what I noticed, the words flowed brilliantly. I did not hear too much I like or I did not like, which was wonderfully done. What I would like Tony to pay attention to is the time, because when Tony started his recommendations, he was already in the yellow. Pay attention to the time. But in all, your evaluation was very professional and also very personal to the speaker, which elevated the presentation. Thank you.
Madam General Evaluator, may I interrupt? Can Shanisha please open her video?
Shanisha, can you turn on your video so that we can see you, please? Ah, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Hannah. Shanicia Bellamy is evaluating our first speaker, Nocawe Nkosi. For Shanicia, emotional intelligence is an important skill to have as a leader because it allows you, the leader, to connect more effectively with members and foster meaningful connections. Please help me welcome Shanicia Bellamy.
Thank you, Berta. Hello once again. Let us be empathetic and put ourselves in their shoes. Nkosi, today you shared with us your journey into developing a communication plan and some of the important lessons you learned along the way. I must commend you for using an attention-grabbing opening, which ran into an activity which showed your audience awareness, and it also underpins a core element of communication, which is while the message is important, the way that message is delivered or communicated is equally important. You effectively shared the purpose of this communication plan and the small working parts that contributed to the whole thing. I would also like to applaud you for sharing the lessons you would have learned along the way, which were to communicate clearly, confidently, empathetically, while selling the plan to the team. You also emphasized during your speech that while the plan is important, what matters most is the team, the people. You effectively concluded your speech on a high note with a strong call to action as you encouraged the audience to be empathetic. And then you were able to tie back in your title and your opening as you called us to come and go with you in an empathetic way. To improve, Nocawe, I have a few suggestions for you. First, I would have liked to hear a bit more about the process you went through to develop this plan. While you shared that your team came into play during the execution phase, it was not clear if they helped to develop the plan or if you did this all alone. Secondly, I get the general sense that the plan was successful, but that was not explicitly clear. To bring this to the forefront, you could have shared with us how things were before, and you mentioned some of the KPIs and stuff like that. So you could have mentioned what percentage of the targets were met, and then after implementing this plan, what those improvements were. Lastly, I know that a plan rarely goes according to that outline plan. So I would have loved to hear some of the challenges you would have encountered while executing this plan and how you and your team were able to overcome them. Or if there were no challenges, you could have let us know that this plan went off without a hitch. Notwithstanding Nocawe, you confidently gave an informative speech about your experience developing a communication plan. You spoke clearly and used simple diction, which allowed us to easily follow your presentation. You had a great structure with a clear opening, body, and conclusion. And if you're to incorporate these suggestions as you move forward, without a doubt, you will be able to take your presentation to the next level. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Shanicia. You had a beautiful marriage of roles and glows. And they were very clear what made it for you, what worked for you, and what didn't. What I will comment on first is your Zoom presence, because I felt that I saw only this of you, not your whole face. Therefore, your gestures were not visible. What I liked is that your evaluation was very detailed. You ended on a high note, and you also summarized. Thank you. And now calling on our second evaluator, Angela Brown, is evaluating our second speaker, Joyce Kibe. For Angela, leading with emotional intelligence is important because it helps her connect authentically with others, respond thoughtfully in challenging moments, and inspire trust and collaboration through empathy. Please help me welcome Angela Brown.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, especially you, Joyce. I truly enjoyed your speech today. My key takeaway is that your speech gave us clear, genuine picture of who you are, both personally and professionally, and you delivered it with confidence and clarity. One of the first things that stood out was how clear and easy to follow your language was. You expressed your ideas naturally, which kept everyone connected. Your gestures were comfortable and purposeful, and you appeared confident throughout your delivery. Because of that, the audience remained very fully engaged from start to finish. Your content was also very well constructed and interesting. Hearing about your different roles, from event planning to your involvement in Toastmasters, helped us to understand help us understand your responsibilities you take on. Your description of your tie and suits attire for work added personality and gave us a vivid sense of your professional presence. This speech gave us a chance to know you on a different level. It felt like a slightly extended icebreaker speech, which was perfect for your first time speaking at our club leadership speak. It set a strong foundation, introduced your story in a warm and relatable way. You shared something very interesting that I noticed. This is very important about your personality. You take on action on matters. You think ahead, you set your own direction, and you consistently look for ways to support your community in a practical, impactful way. That self-directed leadership came through clearly. My suggestion for growth would be, as you continue speaking, consider adding more vocal variety. Your tone was clear, but stayed mostly the same throughout. Shifting your pitch, pace, and pauses will help bring even more energy and emphasis to your message. Overall, this was an excellent first speech at Leadership Speak. Confident, heartfelt, and engaging. I look forward to hearing more from you. Great job. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Angela. Your evaluation had grows and glows. They were very clear. You presented your observation of the speech. What, for me, could be improved is that I felt the connection was not 100% there. Why am I saying this? I felt that you were reading your evaluation. And when we are giving an evaluation, it is important for us to have the connection with the audience and also especially with the speaker that we are evaluating. Although your evaluation was wonderfully done because you had growth and great recommendations, and also you ended on a high note, I felt that I wanted to see more of this connection. This is something to pay attention for the next time. All in all, great points that you shared with us and with the speaker. Thank you. And now our third evaluator is Ghada Shla. Ghada is evaluating Atul Sankar. For Ghada, leading with emotional intelligence is a great tool to know people more. Please help me welcome Ghada Shla.
Thank you, General Evaluator, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. We just learned a great deal from Atul by telling us we all need humor in our life because humor is a great way to connect us as a human. Thank you. We also learned from Atul how to sprint through a humorous speech, which was good. Atul excelled in giving us 3 or 4 examples, humorous examples from serious things like Toastmaster. We all think it's a learning. Not too many people can find humor in learning, but he was able to demonstrate that for us. Exercise, treadmill, he was able to do that. In traffic, in anywhere, but he mentioned the traffic in Tanzania, and he found humor in that. I also find very effective how he connected his message to the takeaway, to call to action. Collect your humorous points. And if you can't, just go through old photo albums and we could find humor in everything we do. Imagine, Atul, imagine if you were standing up a bit away from the screen. Imagine if you could pause after every punchline you gave us. After all, we deserve to share the humor you gave us. We had no time to laugh or to express our enjoyment when you were sprinting through your speech. You never paused. That's why you couldn't even use vocal varieties, because to me, you were reading more than delivering or feeling your speech. A pause is very important to connect with us, with your audience, in anything we say. The last words in every sentence, I couldn't hear them. Maybe because of me or because they were not clear when you were saying them. All in all, very effective, humorous speech, very good collection of events. If we could just stand up, internalize our speech, pause, give the audience time to enjoy what we're saying, it would have been outstanding, exemplary speech. Back to you, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Ghada.
Thank you. I like that the way that you started your evaluation and also the way you finished your evaluation, Gilda. What I like about Gilda's evaluation is that when Gilda starts, we know exactly where she is going to go. It stops us when she starts because we know that we need to pay attention to what she is saying. I felt that her evaluation was very personable with the examples that she gave. They were precise. And also I felt they connected with the speaker. One thing I will mention is that when the red came, Gilda said, all in all. So it seems that you were taken by surprise. Pay attention to the time as it is important. But otherwise, your evaluation was very personable, again, connected not only with the speaker, but also with me, who is part of the audience who is listening to you. Thank you. And now it is time for our fourth evaluator, Irish Casinella, who is evaluating E.J. McDowell. For Irish, emotional intelligence is essential because it helps us understand ourselves, connect better with others, and communicate with greater impact. Please help me welcome Irish Casinella.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. E.G., your speech today was captivating from the very first moment. Even before you began, the mannequin behind you created curiosity and set the scene for something very intriguing. And once you started speaking, your storytelling drew me immediately. I was fully tuned in and excited for the message. Let's start with some strengths. One of your greatest strengths today was the harmony between your body language and your vocal variety. You referenced your clients and pointed to the mannequin behind you. I thought that was powerful. Your gestures, I could follow your tone and your pitch and your pacing, all just worked together very, very naturally. I think you just didn't present a speech. You brought it to life through your voice and your presence on stage. Your delivery also connected very beautifully with today's theme, emotional intelligence. You demonstrated emotional awareness as you spoke, emotional connection, and emotional expression through the questions you asked all the way along your speech. The way you told the story and the authenticity in your tone, it elevated the meaning of your message. Trust me. Your content was also very powerful and insightful, and the truth thought-provoking at the time as well. I liked it. The questions you raised along the way made me reflect actually. You are a clearly natural storyteller, and it's easy to understand why your client asked you that you should be on stage. If I were to offer one improvement, fellow Toastmaster AJ, it would be time management because you exceeded the allotted time by about 3 minutes. As I found myself watching the timer, I was a bit concerned about whether you would be able to conclude comfortably. So being slightly more mindful of pacing will ensure definitely that you will maintain a more impactful without feeling rushed at the end. So overall, thank you very much and congratulations. It was an impressive and emotionally connected speech. Your voice, your body, and your message all work together in great harmony. So congratulations. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Irish. From the start, Irish made it very personal in his evaluation. Not only he mentioned EJ's name, but he moved closer to the screen, which was very effective. I wanted to see the same energy throughout because at times I felt that Irish was reading and I could feel it. I don't know perhaps how to remedy this, perhaps read a little bit and then connect a little bit. Maybe that's the way. But you also had great points in terms of growth and great points in terms of growth. Pay attention to the time because I saw when the red came, the overall came. Pay attention to that. But your evaluation will definitely not only help EJ, but also help me and the audience. Thank you. And now it is time for our fifth evaluator, Nelly Jane. Nelly Jane is evaluating Amber Katrina Pate. For Nelly Jane, emotional intelligence matters because leadership is about people. It makes working with others a whole lot smoother and happier. Please help me welcome Nelly Jane Galido.
Thank you, General Evaluator. My biggest takeaway from Amber's speech is that leadership isn't about standing in someone else's shoes, but standing on your own shoes. That message really stayed with me long after she spoke until now. She opened her speech with a vivid scene of a person stuck, trying everything to get something, but ended up getting nowhere. This hooked me instantly. And through that story, she helped me empathize. And that empathy beautifully tied into our word of the day. And Amber's key message was clear and compelling. That sometimes the person we fear or misunderstand may actually be the very most person dishonest. And in a world full of shifting expectations, we have the choices and the responsibility to become ethical chameleons, not manipulators, not pretenders, but adaptable leaders who changes for the right reasons and who keep others safe. She drew a powerful line between someone who bends the environment for manipulation and someone who adapts for empathy and understanding, and that distinction was the heart of her speech. Amber's vocal variety and body language were truly strong, and she spoke with intention, with energy, with lots of confidence, and this delivered choices elevated her message and made her story more engaging. For a spiritual speech, one opportunity I encourage is to explore the strategic use of pause. And her message tonight was really powerful, so powerful that allowing the audience a moment to digest key statements would make these statements land even deeper. Overall, continue leaning into the balance of adaptability and authenticity. Keep refining the way you guide your audience through ideas and let a pause support your message as much as your words do. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Nelly Jane. You started right away with your takeaway. And then you went even deeper into your evaluation with grows and glows. That was effective. I will speak about on your voice because I feel that your voice calls us to listen to you. This is a powerful tool that you have. I also noticed the time. You were still in the green when you ended it back to me. So you have time to develop even more in your evaluation. Because of that, there's perhaps more growth and also glows to give to the speaker. All in all, I liked that you started with your takeaway. I love the way that you shared your grows and glows and your voice. Your voice is definitely a powerful tool. Thank you. This concluded our evaluation. I would ask the timer to share the times in the chat. Thank you. And Zoom Master, please launch the poll for the best effort evaluator. And also let me know when everything is concluded. Thank you.
I have a bit of difficulty checking it. Holmes, can you just help me, please?
I can see it.
Oh, there's the evaluator. Okay, thank you.
I can see it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Can I close it? Yeah.
Have we concluded?
Yes,
the
I
poll?
have.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you very much. And now it is time to call on the grammarian for her report. Please welcome Leah.
Thank you very much, Madam GE. I feel like I had a very difficult task today because I must say the grammar use this today has been really well done. I was trying to really listen a lot, especially to improper usage. But in terms of our use of the word of the day, showing here, empathy. I must say it has been used really, really well. Over 10 times we use the word empathy. So a big hand of applause. I don't know if the word was easy, but great incorporation in people's sentences today. Well done. So in terms of improper usage, I think I managed to find one that I was listening to. Life itself is a humor, because the word humor is unaccountable when referring to something funny. So the correct version would probably be life itself is humor, but the best version would probably be life itself has a sense of humor. And then in terms of good usage that I picked up today, we had quite a couple of metaphors, idioms that were used, quotes, good use of words. So the ones that I picked up, so there was sail through temptation, which is actually a metaphor. Let me just look at my notes again. So yeah, so that one basically means it's a metaphor, which means to move past or overcome temptation smoothly, confidently, or without giving in. And then also another metaphor that was used was stepping into the person I want to become. So this one is not a common metaphor, but it can be referred to as a metaphor because it does emphasize it does emphasize the good use of language. Oh my gosh, my time is almost up. And then a good idiom that also I came across, drop the ball. And then another good use of the word, illuminate instead of using the word light. So if you have a speech where maybe you're going to be referring to a certain word multiple times, it's good to find other uses of the word. So the use of the word illuminate is a good way of changing your word usage as when you are speaking. Thank you, and back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you very much, Leah, for your report. And now here is my evaluation of the meeting. I know that preparing a meeting is hard work. And I also know that our Toastmaster of the day, along with the role players, they have put their heart in it. And this is very apropos for the theme of this meeting, because how can you not put heart when you are talking about emotional intelligence? So I thought the connection was high. I like that everyone who came for their role, they came to play and deliver, and that was felt throughout the meeting. The speeches were also congruent to the theme of this meeting. So from even before this meeting started, everything connected in order for us to give you this meeting today. That was well done. And I want everyone who has taken place in making sure that this meeting comes to life, that you give yourself an applause, because it is important for you to do that. This is the time for you to celebrate the role that you've played in this meeting. Here are a couple of recommendations, or I should not say recommendation. This is something to really pay attention to. Role players. As we all know that we have a form that we need to fill out. It is not asking too much. Please make sure that you fill it out, because when you don't, it puts more stress on the main role players. Because as I am in the meeting, I am listening, I am paying attention, especially as the general evaluator and Toastmaster of the day, I am thinking, okay, I'm missing somebody's introduction. And my heart goes boop, 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 because I want everyone to look good and to feel part of the meeting. So therefore, pay attention to this. And for the next weeks, please make sure that you fill out the form as it is necessary. I also would say that it is not necessary for you to say your name, especially after you have been introduced, because your name was already set. Therefore, start right away in what you have to say. For the role players who were mostly in the background, wonderfully done. Because we need you in order for the meeting to work the way that it did today. Now, one thing I also noticed, at some part I was still spotlighted and I thought, with horror, I'm not speaking, I shouldn't be spotlighted. And as I was going to send the text, it was already removed. So thank you for that. The evaluators, wonderful work today. I liked that empathy was part of your delivery, and this was for speakers and evaluators. I want to say thank you to all of you who are here, not only to the role players, but also to the guests. So if you have not done so, please take the time to fill out the guest book. That was my evaluation of this meeting today. It's been a pleasure being with you. And now I would like to hand back the control to our Toastmaster of the day.
It's our pleasure to have you today as a general evaluator. Thank you for your grounded and constructive evaluation, feedback, and leadership. Now, thought of the day is to our star of the day today is to Ghada Felix. Back to you. Very fast back to you, Ghada.
Okay, so I am back for the thought of the day. Thank you very much. Emotional intelligence. That was the theme of our meeting. We've heard many things, all good components of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the quiet strength that turns self-awareness into wisdom, empathy into connection, and reaction into intentional action. Emotional intelligence is the power to rise above impulse and focus on intention, the courage to look inward with honesty, to understand not just what we feel, but why we feel what we feel. It is also the strength to respond with grace, the humility to listen deeply, and the wisdom to consider our fellow humans. What does that look like in everyday life? Emotional intelligence. It is the discipline for us to manage ourselves. Because as we learn to do that, we are able to connect with each other gracefully. Leading with emotional intelligence is to be a leader that others love to be around because they know that this person will take care of them, will take care of their heart. Emotional intelligence is a tool that we need in this world. When a leader learns to use emotional intelligence, he or she is able to influence with purpose. He or she is also able to impact with compassion. And he or she will also be a leader who leaves a legacy that lasts. In summary, when I think of emotional intelligence, I think of it this way. This is the opportunity that each and every one of us has to create the extra in the seemingly ordinary. Emotional intelligence. This is what connects all of us. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ghada. Now, we are now very glad to be with the guests. I'll invite our club president, Holmes, for the guest interaction section. Holmes.
Ghada, before I go with the guests, let's have the PR master to share the results for our best effort speaker as well as best effort evaluator.
Sure.
Our best effort speaker goes to Amber Katrina Pate. Congratulations, Amber. That was a wonderful speech. And our best effort evaluator goes to Yuseli. Are you able to show the slide? It's coming up.
Oh.
Nelly Jane Galido. Congratulations, Nelly Jane.
Congratulations.
Very proud of you, both Amber as well as Nelly Jane. Thank you so much, Yuseli. All right. As we are approaching the end of the meeting, I would also like to invite some of the most important people in the meeting room, which is the guest, to share some of your comments with us. I'll start off with guests that have signed on the guest book. Sarah Mujale. Sarah Jacob Mujale, are you available to speak with us? Sarah? I'll just quickly move on for some of those who do not have their cameras and microphones on. If you happen to be available after that, please go ahead and drop us a signal and I can speak to you. How about Leah? Leah Mwende? Leah? I'll move on. Vivian Megalidan. Vivian, are you available? Sherry Kirocho.
I really love the speeches, and my takeaway home is to be very keen when you are, one, an evaluator, and being very specific on the areas that you recommend, and also the areas that you tell the person to improve on, and also the good points that you note, and also just making sure your presence is felt during the speech. I felt as if most of the people who were speaking really connected with me as the audience. And in terms of leadership, I also picked something about emotional intelligence. So I really loved being in this leadership speak club, and I will continue joining in because I got to learn a number of things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. It's a pleasure having you here, and you are invited always to come back whenever you are available. Thank you so much. Vivian, I notice you have your hand raised. Would you like to share some of your comments with us? Vivian?
Yes, I got my mic working now. Yes, out of the many things to learn, and I love them all, one stood out because it's what I've always been saying. It's the vocal variety and voice tone. You might have your entire spiel properly written, but if you deliver it either in monotone or, you know how some people just giggle all throughout, I'm like, what? So I thought that was precious because if we watch people perform, right, even in regular meetings, beautifully written. But I said, if it's ever like for all of you, you're so advanced, if your talk, your speech ever goes to Spotify, oh boy, vocal variety will be so important. So that's what's in my heart and in my mind. And thank you very much for the warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I appreciate having you here and having you visit us week after week. Thank you so much, Vivian. We also have a guest with the camera on. Josu Vialat, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. Josu, are you available to speak?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
This is Josué Veillard.
Hi, Josué. Yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was invited by Yusri Joseph, and today I'm very happy to be with you. I think it is a powerful space for learning, empathy, and constructive feedback. I learned a lot about emotional intelligence, and I hope to be with you again. And thank you for welcoming me. See you.
Thank you so much, Josué. You're welcome to visit us whenever you are available. With that, I'd like to hand back the time to our Toastmaster of the day, who will adjourn the meeting as well as continue a conversation with members as well as guests who are able to stay on. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Holmes. Thank you. And I thank everyone who attended this meeting today. Thanks for the role takers and the ones who are working behind the scenes, all of us who made this meeting succeed. Thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate your efforts. And I invite now the Zoom master to stop the recording, and we invite all to have our open